Imagine sailing the vast, uncharted oceans where the water stretches endlessly to the horizon. Suddenly, a massive shadow appears beneath the waves, and a serpentine creature with scales that glisten in the sunlight rises from the depths.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Welcome to the world
Hello.
of sea serpent.
I didn't see you there. I'm Sorcerer, also known as Joseph Marsh, and today we're going to watch some videos. But not this one.
Hi, I'm Justin, and
Hi,
this
Justin.
is my DMT trip report. And let me start off by saying that everything I tell you is just a direct account of my experience. It's not me extrapolating or analyzing or mapping a belief system onto an experience.
I'm interested in seeing if this ends up like the experiences I have in Visions, because if I just came on here and just told you what I saw without trying to extrapolate, I would just sound like a crazy person. So let's see.
It's just my direct experience and just a plain account of that. So first, a brief introduction. DMT is the active chemical substance in ayahuasca, the brew that's been used in South America for thousands of years. It was popularized in the US by Terence McKenna in the second half of the 20th century. In the 1990s, psychiatrist Rick Strassman conducted some famous experiments with it at the University of New Mexico. He wrote a book about it, and there's a documentary about it too. And now...
Bet you guys didn't realize we were going to learn something today. Who am I kidding? Most of you guys knew this already.
Imperial College London is picking up where he left off with studies of their own. And recently, Johns Hopkins University published a paper on a survey they conducted regarding these experiences. You can see here that the results are really interesting. And an ayahuasca trip lasts for hours, while smoking it only lasts for about 20 minutes. So my trip is actually a composite of several trips, but for the sake of storytelling, I'll tell it as one trip. And I've been recording audio while I'm tripping, so when you see this waveform, holy shit.
Boy, does it open you up.
That's audio that I recorded while I was tripping. So I lay down on my...
So that's pretty cool. When I used to do my visions, like where I would just meditate until I had visions, not using any substances, there were times where I recorded the audio, and I think I shared them on my old channel. But yeah, it can be hard to piece something out of that, so I get why he's like filling in the blanks. I think that's cool. And I'm, again, interested to see how similar this is, the non-tripping, vision-based experience that I've had and DMT. And in the past, I've heard other DMT videos, and they've been very similar.
My bed and take a hit with my eyes open. And almost immediately, the room turns into this very futuristic cartoon, and the surfaces are all covered with eyes. I close my eyes and take another hit. My visual field is black, but I can feel my mind starting to be massaged. It's loosening me up and removing the kinks and cramps and distractions out of my mind. If you're familiar with
and this is a good picture right here, because this is what it looks like when I close my eyes at night, like all the time. I don't know if everyone else has this, where like light and like different stuff is just happening in front of your eyes, but like this is what it looks like for me when my eyes are closed at night if I'm in a dark room and I'm just trying to go to bed. As I start to fall asleep, it does this. And this also is what I'll start to see before I go into like a vision or something. So I don't know where he found this image, but it's very good for explaining this kind of like in-between stage between like where you're starting to drift into a different level of your brain to getting into that space.
Meditation, it seemed to be putting me in the state of no thought. My thinking brain was shut off, and I felt very present and very aware. It felt like it was aligning my brain in preparation for the rest of the trip. But beyond that, you feel completely sober through it all. Then from the periphery of my visual field, these entities slowly approach me. They're made of light. Everything in DMT world is made of light. They gently began to cover me in these warm blankets of light that were radiating love into my body. And then they start to carry me away. So they take me into this beautiful museum of geometric art that exists on extra dimensions.
And that's another thing. When I'm in a vision experience like this, I do always feel sort of like an emanating feeling from the different things that I work with. So part of what will make me understand if something is dangerous or if something is inviting will be this feeling I get from it. Just like how he's saying they're radiating this emotion, like that absolutely does seem to happen to me as well.
This extra dimensional space is commonly called hyperspace. An analogy of what hyperspace looks like is if you think of our material world here as a 2D plane square, and then think of hyperspace as a animated tesseract. Everything you encounter in hyperspace has that sort of elevation, that element of extra dimensions. And not only does hyperspace have extra spatial and temporal dimensions, it also has extra metaphysical ones. And I'll talk more about that later. So in this museum,
On my old channel, I did an invocation, evocation on camera at one point, and I even talked about how what I was seeing behind my eyelids was these shapes inside of shapes where they existed separate but together at once, and I was trying to express it, but what he's saying there about this sort of like fifth dimensional type of weirdness, that's the only way I can express it, because what I was seeing I couldn't describe in any way, shape, or form. So again, I think so far this is very similar.
Without a body. I'm moving along in it just as an immaterial observer. And the museum has caretakers, and they're African, and they're guiding me through the most beautiful art I've ever seen. And at one point, this circus performer comes up to me, and he has this hoop, and he holds this hoop up, and inside the hoop is like a hyperdimensional geometric art piece that's running, like it has an engine. And it's like vibrating and shaking, and it's kind of difficult for him to hold. But he calls out to the other entities. He says, I can do this and he can take it. I can do it and he can take it. Like he's saying, like, don't worry, Justin can handle the intensity of this. And when I
used to have times where I would get pulled into my visions without trying, where I would just be walking and then I'd start to feel vertigo and be like, oh, I got to sit down. And then I'd just get yanked into something else. And what I was being shown back then is the thing that I call the eternity now, where it's this fractal that's growing out from itself, where you're a part of it, but you're all of it, etc. And this is where all of that stuff comes from in my earlier work in this channel. It comes from this experience of seeing this thing. And this thing, when it was shown to me the first few times, it would knock me on my ass. It would make me feel nauseous to even look at it. It would make me whatever. But over time, I got to the point where I could see this thing and look at it and kind of understand it, but only sort of. And there was this feeling that I was now able to experience it without it being a problem. And that way I was then able to go when I wanted to purposefully to go see it in my own vision, in my own meditation, going into visions and things like that. And the being that was showing me that was Tiamat, who I'm sure many of you are familiar with from earlier in this channel. So Tiamat was, in a sense, trying to show me herself, was the way it was explained, or like the grander eternity, etc. So it was a very trippy experience, but it has some very similar feel to what he's talking about here. This idea that he's like, oh, he can handle it, I can show it, and he can handle it. That's what it felt like, was like you didn't get to see this weird fractal thing until your brain was at a point where it could see this and not completely implode on itself.
Say they asked or they talked to me, everything in DMT world is done telepathically. I'll talk more about that later. So as cool as all this art was, I had a sense that I was supposed to experience something more profound and maybe meet somebody. And so as soon as I had that thought, should I meet somebody? I heard this voice, oh, you want to meet somebody? Like real sassy like that. And it like I was kind of taken aback, and I was like, oh, I don't know. Should I? And it made me a little apprehensive. But then after I heard that voice, I started moving towards this train station. And it was this gorgeous train station made of light. And it has this huge circular door. And the circular door starts opening up, and I go into it. And inside I get on this train-like machine with what looks like a vertebrae. And I go on this crazy roller coaster-like ride. And at the end of the ride, these entities start cheering me on, and they want me to wriggle out of my old body. Sort of like a snake shedding out of its skin. And
Nice.
I'm doing this and like wriggling out, and it feels really ecstatic. And they're cheering, they're going like, yes, yes, yes. And I'm going like yes, yes, yes. And then I release, and it's like, I just scored a touchdown to win the Super Bowl, and we're all cheering and just celebrating. And after that, I feel these entities start to open up these cosmic glands in my head that I didn't know I had. Mm-hmm. Sort of like these moths that have those glands that inflate. And once they're open, I seem to remember that these glands are mine, and I've always had them. It feels like my cosmic sinuses have been opened up and unclogged after a long time of being...
Yeah, a lot of times in meditative visions, if I'm working with an entity of some sort, like a god or a goddess, there will be this element of some form of energy change where some part of your body is manipulated in some way or changed or opened or something, and then from there on you'll start to notice things you didn't notice or experience things in a new way. It's very interesting. I've always considered it kind of a symbolic, metaphoric change happening to you, but I don't know for sure that it's metaphor. But that's definitely been a consistent thing that happens when you work specifically with what I would call gods or deities or things like that.
dormant, and it feels great.
Clogs you didn't know you had. On levels you didn't know you had. Whoa.
And as I'm being there with my cosmic glands all open, I think, but wait, how do all the terrible things happening on Earth fit into this world of light and ecstasy? And immediately I'm thrown into this hellscape of death and sadness. I remember stuff similar to...
I like how also he's expressing that he doesn't just decide to move somewhere and moves there. He has a question and then he's kind of moved there automatically. That is how it always works for me in visions too. Like if I see interesting stuff or whatever and I just try to move toward it, I don't exactly just move. I have to have a question or something I'm curious about in order for the scene to change or the scene to move for me. And the same thing is true if I'm trying to get into the state. I can't just like get into a meditative state and then just go hang out with a god or goddess. I have to have an actual reason or question or longing for some information. And when I show up with that while I'm in the meditation, that's what makes the whole thing kick off. It really seems like you're taken to where you need to be to get your answers as opposed to like you're freely moving, at least in most of my vision experiences and in the way that he's describing it here. And that's not to say that you can't move around, that you can't have experiences where you're more mobile. And sometimes I have an experience where I'll be laying in bed and I'm in between sleep and awake, and then the things that I have in visions there feels more like I can move around, like I'm out of body, like what they would call astral travel, but that's a little different than what I experience in visions, and this matches more like the vision experience.
Bones and blood flowing over me and through me, and there were animal death camps there too. But even though I'm surrounded by all this terrible stuff and being filled with it, it's sad, but it's not scary. Throughout it all, inside, I know that it's okay and to just let this stuff pass through me. And eventually that world does flow away, and I'm approached by these jellyfish insects.
Yeah, and Tiamat used to show me the cycle, as she would call it, of life, death, rebirth, etc., where things live, things die, things are born again in a new form. And that happens throughout different layers. Like even within the physical world alone, this cycle exists, where like your corpse or whatever becomes food for the worms, fertilizer for the ground, etc. There's this live, die, repeat, or live, die, recycle that happens. And there is this indication, which I can't prove. I obviously haven't died. I don't know it. But at least the way it was explained to me in the visions is that some people spiritually do the same, where they'll live, die, and recycle. And some people live, die, and are reborn. So some people, according to this, choose to not incarnate anymore and to return to source, to become one with everything that they originated from, and to have that energy that was making them a thing be reused for something else completely. They have done what they wanted to do here, and they're happy to end it at that. And other people will continue. They want to do multiple lives, either here or in astral realities and things like that. And so they will live, die, and then go on to some other form of existence. And what determines that, from my understanding, at least as Tiamat explained it, is you and what you want. If you want to reintegrate with all of it and just be back to being that pure light, you can do that. And if you want to live on as something else, you can do that. But then what you live on as, if you pick that might not necessarily be up to you. That is where the whole concept of karma and other stuff like that comes in. And so there's always the option to reintegrate. But this also assumes that everybody is connected to source. I have some reasons lately to believe that there may be some people who are able to disconnect from that entire process, but I'm going too far down the rabbit hole, and we're just supposed to be hanging out. So let's continue.
They come up to me and start to eat and digest all the pain inside me that I've accumulated from my time as a human, which was nice of them. And once they finish, off in the distance is a man made of black holes sitting next to a circular black hole. He reminded me kind of like the Thinker statue, but I don't know why he was there. And after Black Hole Man, I find myself sitting in a waterfall made of light and love, and it's pouring over and through me, and it feels like pure ecstasy. And it's clear in that moment that love and consciousness are two fundamental fabrics that are woven together to create this universe. And also, in a strange way, I don't need to be told this. Like, it's knowledge that was already in me, but just as a human, my primitive brain doesn't have access to this information. And then my body is this matrix of fractals, and it starts vibrating faster and faster and faster. until it shatters and snaps across the universe.
Yep.
And the ripples feel like love. And after that, I'm shown that I'm like an isolated ray of light who's forgotten it's actually the sun. And I was playing a trick on myself, pretending I wasn't the sun.
Oh my.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is very similar. I think that whatever DMT locks you into is the same place or experience that you're getting through intense meditation. However, when you do intense meditation, you're going to pop in and out. So similar to how he said this happened to him over multiple trips and he kind of put them together to make a narrative. When you're doing visions, you're going to get part of a vision and then come back, and then part of a vision and then come back. And you're constantly having to not work, but like relax back into the state in order to continue what you were seeing. So it isn't this continuous flow the way that I think DMT would be. I think DMT pushes you right into there where it's going to keep happening regardless of your desire to come in and out or whatever. So I don't know if that's cooler because it's a deeper experience, or scarier because you can't control it at all. But that is a difference that I've noticed in here and in when I hear other people talk about their experiences.
Word. Where do I fit in all this? So I am this. I was an egg to hatch. We're like a cicada. And there seems to be more bigger entities upstairs.
And then everything goes dark, and I can sense that I'm in the presence of the god or gods who made this universe.
Yep.
And then they tell me, our universe was created for consciousness to become aware of itself.
Yep. Yeah, this is all the same.
And at this point, I start to become aware of my body again. And I slowly open my eyes, and hyperspace is still overlaid on top of this normal world. And I have this sense that it's always here, but you just can't access it while you're not on DMT.
There's an enormous part of reality hidden. This is just a little bit that's hidden. Oh my God!
Yeah,
and while I'm looking around the room, I think about my leg. Right. On my last day of high school, I was in a bad car wreck and broke my femur. And they had to put a rod inside the entire length of my femur where the marrow would be, but it's never healed quite right. The bone looks fine on an x-ray, but to me it's real awkward and stiff.
I have a metal ball, a titanium ball, and a titanium rod in my arm. You can still see the scar, sort of. It's been, 8 or more years now, and it's still got, this scar will never heal fully. And this picture reminds me of it, because when they showed me the x-rays originally, they had all these screws in it and everything. It looked like someone patched a house back together.
And weak, and it's not very responsive, and it really bothers me. So I close my eyes and I ask, can you help me? And right away, all these cosmic doctors surround me and start examining me. And they're saying stuff like, what you got there? What's the problem? Let's have a look. And they start pouring themselves into my leg. Yep. And it feels absolutely fantastic. It feels like they've removed a vice that's been on my leg this whole time. And it just feels like such a huge relief. And all this wonderful energy is flowing through it. And I feel like it's opened up and I have access to it and control of it in a way that I haven't had since before the wreck. And what feels like the trauma from that night and some memories from that night are all leaving my body like ghosts. And I get up and walk around and I'm like, I cannot believe this. This is a fucking miracle. But then I come down all the way and my leg appears to be back to its normal shitty state.
Yep.
So that's something to note too. But
this is one of the reasons why a lot of people, when they talk about healing through magic, I am skeptical. Because my experience is while you're in the ecstatic state, you can make yourself completely feel as if these injuries are gone. You can feel as if you have things coming out of you that you don't have in the real life as well. Like in the astral, I have wings. I don't know why, but I do. And I can feel them like as if they were a limb. But I don't feel them when I'm here. And the same thing is true with healing. Like if I heal this, like my arms, I don't know if I can do this here. See, this is the regular arm, and see, that's straight. This one, you see how it won't go the whole way flat, and it will never be fully straight, right? It can't heal to that extent. But it could there. But healing it there does not heal it here. And so, there seems to be this sort of astral healing that can happen, but it does not come back to this world. And so this is part of why when people talk about, not necessarily Reiki or things like that, where they're talking about healing some spiritual aspect. But when people talk about physical healing based on magic, I'm skeptical because I have not experienced that to be true. This doesn't mean that it's not. I'm not trying to yuck anyone's yum. I'm just saying I haven't seen this happen. And again, it's the exact way he feels. It felt completely healed while in the ecstatic state, but out of it, mm-mm.
But I'm curious if I did it like 20 times, if it would have a lasting effect. I don't know. I'm skeptical, but I'd like to try it. I will say, if you're a secular, atheistic type person, like most people around me, and like how I was, I will say that I don't know how that belief system will stay intact after this experience.
Yeah.
It didn't for me. I mean, I have no clue what's going on, but now I know I have no clue what's going on. And that's all.
One thing that can happen if you have these experiences through visions, though, is you can forget them. It's very weird. It's like you'll experience the vision, and for the whole day, you're like, wow, this shook my fucking world. And then as you sleep and wake up, your mind gets foggy, as if something is trying to cloud that memory from happening. But the next time you have an experience like this, or if something reminds you of it, it'll all kind of full-blown come back. And when it comes back, sometimes you're like, whoa, how have I not been thinking about this? Like, it really, like, it's like there's some mechanism. I don't know if it's part of your brain that's trying to, like, make the world make sense again, or if it's, like, some external force that's, like, the veil or something that's shrouding you. But whatever it is, it seems like there's this forgetting fog that kind of comes over you after you have these experiences. And what I found is that if I write them in my journal, then I remember them. Like the act of going through and writing them, somehow something about that will keep it there, and the lessons and experiences will stay. And I wasn't doing that, at least not the right way, back when I was doing things like my old channel. I had a big period where between my old channel and new channel where I became atheistic, and I literally forgot a whole bunch of the experiences that I had had, to the point where until I started having my Tiamat experiences later, those things didn't come back. And when Tiamat started like poking and prodding at me and showing me different things, the memories of the things that had happened before came back like they had been buried or hidden. And then I'd go back and look at videos from my old channels where I had talked about those experiences, proof that these were not false memories being planted or something like that. This was literally things that had been kind of shrouded during this time where I was walking through what I would call the dark night of the soul or whatever, where I was in deep nihilism, moved into my atheistic phase, and moved from nihilism into existentialism with the atheistic phase. And after that, when I started to finally work with Tiamat, all those old memories came back. That was like, well, how could you even be in those phases with everything you knew? It's because they were literally wiped. Like, it felt like they were gone. So it's very interesting when you ask this question, how can someone who has this experience remain that way? It's actually extremely easy.
That's all I have to say on the subject. That's everything, and I hope this was entertaining to you, and let me know what you think.
Yeah, I like it. Your spirit longed for the solitude and silence that only a large group could provide. Oh wait, it's Jane Austen. I did the wrong voice.
Have you ever felt a profound shift in your life?
Oh, God damn it, it's
as
the
if
AI
you were
voice guy.
awakening to a new understanding of yourself and the world?
So if I watch a video and it's the AI voice guy, I almost always immediately shut it off. But we're making content today. These are 5 stages of spiritual awakening. Which stage are you in? Told to you by a disembodied AI voice, which means either, and this is what we're going to judge, either somebody typed this up and then fed it through the AI voice thing and then threw pictures on the screen, or more likely, someone asked ChatGPT to write something about this, then just shoved the whole script into the AI voice generator and then used AI to build the visuals as well, which means that all of this was just ChatGPT answering one prompt. I mean, it's more work than that, but I mean, like, that's the equivalent of it. So the question is, as we listen to this, is this somebody's typed up script, but they don't want to have their voice and face on the camera, so they used AI voice man? Or is this just a ChatGPT script that's been shoved out here to try to get to farm views and whatnot? Now look, 393,000 people are watching this AI voice man explain spirituality to them. And it's got 58,000 likes on this video alone. So apparently, more people want to learn this stuff from the AI than from me. So let's just keep it that way.
Spiritual awakening is like a unique journey, not a straight path, more like a DNA spiral.
This sounds like
Some of us
ChatGPT to me so
loop
far.
through stages, others skip, and each journey is tailor-made.
Okay.
While our paths differ, common elements unite us. Let's explore the 5 stages of spiritual awakening, keeping it simple and clear. Today, we are going to explore the 5 stages of spiritual awakening, offering...
Listen to that background music. The background music is doing a shitload of heavy lifting here, because if there was no background music, you'd just be listening to what this is saying like on its own merit. But the background music is trying to put you into a state that is very spiritual, very relaxed. Listen as he talks. Pay attention to the background music people choose and how it affects the way you see things.
Bring insights into each stage and helping you identify which stage you might be in. At this initial stage of the spiritual awakening journey, one exists deeply within the realm of the ego.
Yeah, okay. So far,
it's a
correct.
state of being where thoughts and emotions govern without conscious awareness. The individual identifies closely with these thoughts and feelings, believing them to be an integral part of who they are. The ego holds a tight grip, leaving little room for a separation between the self and the subjective experience.
Now, just because I agree with what's being said does not mean it's not ChatGPT or some other chatbot coming up with it. So far, it still sounds to me as if this is written by a chatbot of some sort, but it is pulling from good sources, I guess, because so far this is describing the state that most of us live in day to day.
In this state, individuals may find themselves reacting to life rather than actively shaping it. The sense of control is limited, leading to defensiveness, anger, and negativity. Life seems to unfold as if predetermined, and any encountered trauma reinforces a belief in a lack of control. The individual becomes entwined with their personal narrative.
I would argue that we are purposely led to be this way. Like, I don't know if it's part of a learning process where we're supposed to come into life being in this state so that we can evolve out of it, or if there's like a nefariousness to it, like we come into life kind of like open to whatever, and then the powers that be like us to be in the states of fear and in states of lack of control because it makes us more controllable. And I'm not necessarily talking about some spiritual force so much as just like, you know, the society as a whole. It seems to be that there is this drive to make people feel like they have no choice because then they're less likely to fight back. I don't know. So I don't know if I would necessarily consider this a spiritual stage so much as something we're inflicted with.
Viewing life as something that happens to them rather than something they actively create. Seeing others is challenging during this stage, as perception is filtered through the lens of one's own experiences and projections. This lack of clarity hinders genuine understanding of others, fostering a skewed view of the world. The unconsciousness stage is characterized by a deep entanglement with the ego, blurring the lines between the self and the external world.
Right.
The journey towards spiritual awakening begins with this realization, acknowledging the need to break free from the unconscious patterns and explore the deeper layers of existence. It marks the starting point for the evolution towards greater self-awareness and connection to...
And I think anyone who's involved in any kind of occult stuff or spirituality of different kinds is on that journey. Like, that is the first step is just to kind of open up. But I don't think you necessarily need to use those paths to do it either. I think some scientists are on that journey, even though I got a lot of people I know who would disagree. But sometimes you hear certain scientists talk about the way they see the universe, and you realize that they are, for lack of a better term, spiritual as well, but not into the metaphysics side of spirituality. They have a profound love for the things that they're discovering and the workings of the universe and things like that. So I think there's multiple ways to get out of that stage that don't require the occult, but I think for anyone who's watching this channel from when it was purely an occult channel and not a hangout channel, then you definitely already are way beyond this, I would assume.
to the profound aspects of the human experience.
Hey, What is this commercial?
What kind of stress are you experiencing thinking about AI?
Oh, that's a great question. Is it this? Is my stress level jumping in the water?
AI is, but the fact of the matter is there's so much more.
What is this water?
Use AI to get rid of the boring and the mundane so your creativity can go to a whole nother level. That's exactly what we're going to share.
This is the basilisk, I see. So the basilisk wants us to make the AI, so he sent me this commercial. I got you. Moving on.
As one progresses on the spiritual awakening journey, they encounter the transformative stage known as ego death.
There you go.
This phase involves a profound breakdown of the ego.
I would like to specify that you will experience this multiple times. People like to be like, oh, you have an ego death and then you're different and that's that. No. You have multiple ego deaths once you start to have them. And each time you'll become less of what you thought you were and more of what you really are. But it is not a one and done. At least not for most people, not in my experience.
Subjective self that shapes one's identity and perceptions. It's a process where the identity constructed around labels such as gender, age, race, and beliefs is dismantled. Ego death is not a physical demise, but a dissolution of the tightly held beliefs about who one is.
I mean, sort of.
The individual comes to the realization that the ego, the story they've been telling themselves, is not the essence of their being. All the ideas and concepts built around life, God and religion, are wiped clean.
And that's not true. They're not wiped clean. But you will see through them. In other words, it's like you've been walking around with a filter where you couldn't see through it and the filter was removed. But that doesn't mean that your ideas change overnight. It is a process. It steps you into that process. And then you can choose to continue down that road and have further deaths of who you were and movements into who you are, or you can reject it. There is nothing that requires you. It's not like it happens and then you can't undo it. I mean, you can't. You'll never fully see the world the same way again once you have one. But it doesn't just take one to hit that state that he's acting like it does.
Leaving a sense of emptiness.
I say he like he's a real person. It's an AI.
What emerges from this stripping away of the ego is an internal space, a separation between the subjective self and the observer self.
That's correct.
In the unconscious stage, this observer self was obscured, but now it becomes more apparent. The individual starts to comprehend that they are not solely the thoughts, emotions, and identity associated with the ego. Ego death brings forth an awareness of the observer self, the part that quietly observes and experiences life without being entangled in the narratives of the ego.
And that is true, but also the degree to which that comes forth and the amount of time in the day that you remember that is different depending on the individual. And it may last a little while and go away. It may last forever, but only be in certain moments. It may be a thing where with practice and time and further ego deaths, you're able to live that way all the time. But it isn't automatic. It's not like the ego death will just bring this on completely. And most of those revelations about things not being what they seem come from you choosing to explore this further. So if you have an ego death experience and you start to notice yourself as the observer instead of the body, and you choose to dive into that and get to understand that, then the rest of this follows. But not everybody does.
The individual begins to recognize that the ego is not the true self. It is a construct formed by societal conditioning, personal experiences, and learned behaviors.
I mean, in part,
this stage
there is more
prompts
to it.
A fundamental shift in perspective, opening the door to a deeper understanding of the self. The journey through ego death is about recognizing the illusion of the ego, understanding that the story one tells themselves is not the core of their existence. It signifies a transition towards a more profound self-awareness, paving the way for further exploration into the layers of consciousness and the nature of reality. Moving beyond ego death, the spiritual awakening journey enters the phase known as the search. During this stage, individuals embark on a quest for understanding, seeking...
Okay, so according to this, then, the ego death is like a step. So I guess that's referring more to the first ego death experience you have and how it makes you see the whole world differently and how it kind of flattens your ass. But, again, not everyone moves from that onto seeking like this. I wouldn't have considered seeking its own separate stage because you can go into seeking and then drip back. But okay, I see what he's saying. It.
What is commonly referred to as the truth. The search involves a deep exploration of existential questions.
Yes, that is
a
true.
desire to unravel the mysteries of one's existence. In the search phase, individuals often turn to various sources for guidance. They may engage with spiritual literature, seek wisdom from spiritual teachers, and immerse themselves in videos exploring profound ideas. The motivation behind this quest is a sincere desire to grasp the essence of who they are, why they were born, the meaning of life, and the nature of God. This search is not merely an intellectual pursuit, it is a heartfelt exploration fueled by a genuine longing for clarity and purpose.
We're 6 minutes into 12 minutes.
The individual delves into spiritual practices such as meditation, contemplation, prayer, or channeling, driven by an...
So in my experience, most people get into that stuff before getting out of stage 1. So I think that's why I didn't see these in this order. Like, that's not how it worked for me. I was in this stage first as a means of getting into the ego death stage. So this came before ego death for me. But, you know, to each their own.
Inner urge to connect with a higher understanding. As they navigate through this stage, individuals may find solace in spiritual teachings that resonate with their evolving awareness. Reading becomes a pathway to enlightenment, with each insight bringing a sense of lightness and connection.
What do you guys think? Do you guys think this is AI garbage?
This phase is marked by an eagerness
I guess it doesn't have to be garbage. Do you guys think this is from an AI chatbot, or did a person write all this out?
Of self and the universe.
I am solidly convinced on my side that this is AI.
As the spiritual awakening journey progresses, individuals reach a crucial juncture marked by the emergence of the authentic self.
Okay.
This stage is characterized by a profound shift away from pretense and the conscious acknowledgement of one's true nature.
So for me, it starts with stage 1, then it went to stage 3, then it went to stage 2, but you had to go through a process at stage 2 of really diving into it and experiencing it again and again and again, while kind of working through different traumas and things and getting certain things out. You'll think if you have a first ego death that like that's it, but no. You will start to see things that you need to face, and then you will have to go through them, and then you can have another one, and then et cetera, et cetera. And so after all of those, that's when this stage happened for me. So it was a different order, but okay. I mean, these stages so far match up.
In the emergence of the authentic
and I would
self,
say this would be the stage I'm in.
The individual reaches a point where the facade they may have presented to the world begins to crumble. Pretending becomes increasingly challenging, and a sense of discomfort arises when trying to conform to societal expectations that no longer resonate with the evolving sense of self. This phase often unveils the individual's genuine essence, akin to the self they were before societal conditioning influenced them. It's a return to the authenticity often observed in childhood, a time when societal expectations
it's more than that.
had yet to mold and shape the individual's identity.
I call it finding the angel. It's more than that.
Awareness of what genuinely aligns with the inner self. The emergence of the authentic self often triggers
Who is this
internal
guy? Is this Moses?
transformations. Old emotional wounds and psychological traumas may resurface for acknowledgement and release. Emotional roller coasters become a common experience.
Jesus, how long is he going to talk about this for?
Purging process.
You explained this.
The body may manifest ascension symptoms as it adjusts to the new energetic frequencies. These symptoms can range from heightened intuition to lucid dreams, premonitions.
Again, all this stuff happened to me before that stage.
Multidimensional experiences.
This was all what
The
you call
individual
stage
becomes
3 that I
attuned to a
called stage
deeper
2.
understanding of themselves and the world around them.
Unless what this is saying is that it's not even talking about the stage I'm at yet. I don't know. We'll see.
In the final stage of the spiritual awakening journey, individuals transition into a life of alignment. This phase signifies a harmonious integration of every aspect of oneself with the surrounding world. It goes beyond the emergence of the authentic self and extends into a profound connection with all facets of existence.
What does that mean?
Living a life of alignment involves a deep understanding and connection with oneself, the soul, the mind, and the body.
I mean, that's just
There's a
being the authentic
compassionate
self.
acceptance of one's limitations and a forgiving embrace of the imperfections that make up the individual essence. It is a state of being where self-compassion becomes a guiding principle.
How is this different than being the authentic self? I don't understand. I mean, because all of what he's saying is true, but I would have just grouped that
Alignment
together.
also extends to relationships with others. Having embraced one's authentic self,
Right.
there is a natural overflow of compassion and forgiveness for the limitations of others. The individual recognizes that each person is on their unique journey, and there is an understanding that everyone is doing the best they can with their current awareness. This phase involves becoming the nurturer for oneself, being the supportive parent one may have needed earlier in life. It is a journey towards unconditional self-love, fostering an environment.
So for me, that happened first also. So that sort of love thing, that happened when I first started seeing reality in this new way. And that happened as a result of what I would say would be like an early ego death or shadow work. So I don't know that this is the end of the journey so much as this is just like something that happens to you on the journey. I feel like this is, well, I mean, if it's AI written, then AI is grabbing a bunch of information from a bunch of spiritual teachers and tossing it together into a script, and that makes sense because this is not the order these things happen. This is not some kind of hierarchy. This is not like the way, like it doesn't mean you're at some different level to hit these different experiences. These are just all experiences that happen. This video should be called 5 experiences that happen during spiritual awakening, and then put them in whatever order you want.
Of understanding and kindness within. As this self-love deepens, it naturally extends towards others, fostering compassion in interpersonal relationships. A life of alignment is not limited to the human realm. It extends to a broader connection with the world. Individuals realize their interconnectedness with nature, the trees, plants, animals, the air, the earth, and even inanimate objects. This interconnectedness becomes a lived reality rather than a mere conceptual understanding. While a life of alignment acknowledges the beauty and light in existence, it also encompasses a compassionate acknowledgement of the darker aspects.
The dark.
This isn't viewed with cynicism, but with understanding
Again, that's
and an
called shadow
awareness that every aspect
that
contributes
happened before
to
ego
the
death for me,
richness
so I don't
of the
know.
human experience.
I don't know, man. Your order
If
is
this
all
video
messed up,
resonated
or
with you, please
this is AI
consider
garbage.
sharing
And
it.
well, it's not garbage because it's none of it was wrong, so to speak. But it's AI. This is AI scripted, something that doesn't necessarily understand the process, explaining the process, and then putting it out here. And now, if it is an AI and if somebody actually did write all this up, then I'm being a real dick about it because I'm like, that's not true. You don't understand. Like, I'm not saying they don't understand. I'm just saying, like, your order of events is not my order of events. Like, everybody's different. Billions with that. We gotta have something funny. You can't just keep doing this. You can't all be serious. Alright, the city's burning.
You ever look in the mirror and feel that silence staring
It's
back
an
at
AI
you?
joker.
That
Listen
quiet
up,
voice
kids.
that doesn't
Don't
scream or
masturbate.
shout,
That's
but
basically what he's gonna say,
whispers.
right? Don't
You could have
masturbate.
been more. And that whisper, it eats at
Who listen?
you,
Who is the
doesn't
target
it?
audience for this?
It crawls under your skin like
Yeah.
a reminder that time doesn't wait, that opportunity doesn't knock twice, and that the world
Look, even if it wasn't AI garbage telling me something, I would go to the Joker for advice. Why is this a style of video that is everywhere now? This looks wholesome.
Come closer. Let me see you as you truly are. Not the face you wear for them, no. The one beneath. The tired, trembling self you've hidden even from the mirror. Yes, there. That's the one I've known. Long before you ever spoke your first thought into the world. You've come farther than they will ever understand. They will count your years, your deeds, your smiles.
Glaze me harder,
I see
weird
the
demon.
distance in your eyes, the miles you've walked behind them, unnoticed, unheard. And I am proud of you, not in the way you've always longed for, not in claps or praise or fleeting words. I am proud of the silent victories, the mornings you rose when gravity begged you to stay, the nights you wept without
this
witness.
is like the Joker video
folding
again, right? Like this
into
is
silence.
like we're
wearing
gonna
it like
encourage you
second
with some
nature.
creepy something.
I'm proud of every
Why is
breath
the
you dragged
why
from
is this the
void
thing?
when
Why
your
is it like
chest
let's
felt
have a
hollow.
creepy AI guy
Every step taken when
give
the
you a
ground beneath
motivational
you was
speech?
not there.
Why like
Do you not see?
does this
You were
speak
never
to where
meant
we
to
are as a
survive
society
this.
that we can only
Not
get
this
this
world,
motivational
not
speech
these
from something
trials.
that kind of
They were
unnerves
made
you
to break
somehow?
you,
Maybe
to
it has to
grind
do
you
with
into
the shadow.
forgotten dust. And yet,
I don't know.
you endured. You alone endured.
But he's
There is
just
something
glazing you.
feral and
Like he isn't
divine in
really.
that.
It's just a
The
motivational speech.
beauty
He's
that
not giving you any
terrifies
real
even me.
info.
You have become something else entirely. Something neither they nor even you expected. A soul tempered by fire no one else felt. A creature of cracks, yes. But through those cracks, I see light.
I mean,
Your light. Flickering, furious,
Sure.
alive.
somebody a minute and 45. Let's see. Oh my God! It's another one. It's got to be right. Like, where's the motivational speech? Or is it like I clicked that one Joker video and now it's feeding me this? Thanks. Thanks, algorithm. It's like, oh, you like depression? Here, have some more.
Grab my terry fold flaps. Grab my flappy folds. Grab my terry folds. Grab my foldy flaps.
Let's do it. Oh. 59
There's
seconds,
more
let's
to
go.
yawning than meets the eye. Research shows that yawning is contagious. And so when you see the word yawn, or look at photos of people mid-yawn, or watch film of actual yawns, you will start to feel like yawning. Also, the more you're affected by the images, the more empathic you are. So if you're feeling the need to yawn right now, then you tend to be good at reading other people's emotions.
Damn,
Whereas if
I
you
suck
don't feel
then.
like yawning, then you're more of an emotional island.
I'm out here in the ocean, guys. How many of you are yawning?
And so if you want to gain a fun insight into your friends, just ask them to watch this video and see if they yawn.
You know what? I want to do this over again, but I'm going to change every time they yawn, I'll put a sound effect. We're going to see if it has the same effect. Let's back it up.
There's more to yawning than meets the eye. Research shows that yawning is contagious. And so when you see the word yawn, or look at photos of people mid-yawn, or watch film of actual yawns, you will start to feel like yawning. Also, the more you're affected by the images, the more empathic you are. So if you're feeling the need to yawn right now, then you tend to be good at
Hey man, get these fucking kids off my yard, I'm tired of the meat in my yard. Get these fucking kids off my yard, I'm tired of the meat in my yard. Hey man, get these fucking kids off my yard, I'm tired of the meat in my yard. Gross,
So
what did
if
he
you want to
eat?
gain a fun insight into
Oh
your
my
friends,
God.
just ask them to watch this
Alright
video
guys, that's
and
gonna
see
do it
if
for
they
today.
yawn.
Until next time, safe travels.